When someone says, "I don't celebrate birthdays," people rarely take it at face value because the moment somebody rejects a social ritual that almost everyone participates in, people start looking for hidden reasons, not the obvious explanations like maybe they're introverted, maybe they hate attention, maybe they think celebrations are childish. Those assumptions are surface level. The darker interpretations happen underneath them. In this video, we're going to explore 3 uncomfortable psychological assumptions people quietly make about people who don't celebrate birthdays, the kind most people never say out loud. Welcome to Neo-Neuron, where hidden psychology becomes visible. Number 1. Fading. When people see that you don't celebrate birthdays, something strange happens. A lot of them quietly assume you're uncomfortable with aging. Not openly. They usually won't say it directly, but somewhere in their head, they start thinking maybe getting older bothers them more than they admit. Because for most people, birthdays are annual reminders that time is moving forward. Another year gone. Another year older. And most people deal with that uncomfortable feeling the same way. They turn it into a celebration. Cakes, photos, parties. It's almost like society disguises aging as something fun. So when someone completely opts out of that ritual, people notice. Because now it feels like you're refusing to participate in the normal coping mechanism everyone else uses. And that immediately creates questions. If birthdays don't bother them, why avoid them entirely? That's where the assumption starts forming. People usually expect someone who's comfortable with aging to casually joke about it, not distance themselves from the entire day. And humans are naturally suspicious of avoidance. If someone avoids talking about money, people assume financial insecurity. If someone avoids mirrors, people assume insecurity about appearance. So if you say, "I don't celebrate birthdays," some people hear, "I don't want people focusing on my age," even if that's not the real reason at all. Maybe birthdays genuinely feel meaningless to you, but people don't see your reasoning. They only see the behavior, and humans are constantly trying to attach hidden motives to behavior. And interestingly, this assumption tends to become even stronger in environments where youth and appearance are treated like social value, which is partly why women sometimes notice this behavior more quickly in other women. Because aging, especially for women, is often socially tied to beauty, desirability, and visibility in a way many men never experience to the same degree. Number 2. Social numbers. Some quietly assume maybe they don't want to find out how many people actually care about them. And weirdly, that assumption exists because birthdays slowly stopped being personal celebrations. They became social measurements. Think about it. People compare birthdays constantly. How many wishes did they get? Who posted for them? How many friends showed up? Did people remember without reminders? Birthdays almost became public displays of social value. Some people get flooded with messages, stories, surprise parties, group photos, while others barely receive anything at all. And because of that, birthdays started feeling less like, "Today is special," and more like, "Let's see how important I am to people." That's why birthdays quietly create anxiety for some people, because they accidentally expose social reality. And for some people, the worst part isn't being forgotten. It's realizing they remembered everyone else. They showed up for other people's birthdays, posted stories, sent long messages, made effort, and then when their own birthday arrives, the energy doesn't come back the same way. That imbalance stays in people's heads longer than they admit, because birthdays sometimes reveal something people normally try not to notice. Relationships are rarely equal. There's almost always one person who cares more, remembers more, makes more effort. And birthdays make that imbalance visible for a moment. Who gets effort and who doesn't? Who people rush to celebrate and who people forget. So when someone says, "I don't celebrate birthdays," some people interpret it as avoiding that comparison completely, almost like refusing to check the results of a test. Because in their mind, if they stopped celebrating birthdays, it would probably be for emotional protection. So instead of thinking, maybe birthdays just don't matter to them, they think, maybe they don't want confirmation that very few people would care. Especially now where birthdays are so public, social media made attention visible. And once attention becomes visible, it naturally becomes measurable. Which is why for some people, birthdays aren't really about celebration anymore. They're about reassurance. Reassurance that people remember them, that people would make effort for them, that they matter socially. So when someone completely steps away from birthdays, some people don't see independence. They see someone stepping away from a social scorecard. Number 3, traits. Sometimes they think they're trying too hard to be different. And what's interesting is people usually don't mean the birthday itself. They mean the image they think you're trying to create around it. Because the moment somebody steps outside a social norm, people start searching for a reason. But instead of thinking, maybe birthdays genuinely don't matter to them, Some people jump to, they want to look different from everyone else. And that assumption slowly branches into other interpretations. They're trying to make their life look deeper than it is. They act like they're above normal social traditions. They think emotional detachment makes them look intelligent. They turned "I don't celebrate birthdays" into a personality trait. Because to some people, rejecting common things feels performative, especially when the thing being rejected is harmless and widely accepted. And social media made this mindset even stronger. People constantly build identities around being different, unbothered, emotionally detached, anti-mainstream. So when someone says they don't celebrate birthdays, some people immediately place them into that category, almost like they're trying to separate themselves from normal people. A lot of people use social traditions to feel connected and included. So when someone willingly steps away from those traditions, it can feel less like independence and more like a statement. And humans tend to interpret unusual behavior as communication. They assume if you're rejecting something most people enjoy, you probably want people to notice that rejection. That's why some people don't hear, "I simply don't care about birthdays." They hear, "Look how different I am from everybody else," even if that was never the intention at all. So next time you say, "I don't celebrate birthdays," just remember, people are probably hearing a lot more than you actually said. Subscribe for more content like this.